Hello, my beautiful beings of planet Earth and beyond. Welcome to another video of Ancient Ascension, and I have created this channel to share my journey walking the sacred medicine path, walking the sacred red road as a female from the north who obviously has white skin, and I feel extremely deep down in my soul called to and connected to the red path, which is the sacred traditions of all of the Americas that have united more recently and created this sacred red road that basically keeps all these traditions alive, but in a more integrated way. And I created this channel because I don't find that there's a ton of information on this sacred red path. I mean, there's things online that you can find, but I don't think there's many people that are out there sharing what their personal experience is of committing their life to this path, going full in on what it takes to receive these blessings and to just live completely immersed in the realm of ceremony, in the realm of tradition, in just the realm of seeing everything as sacred. So that's why I created this channel. I think that there's a lot of us out there that are drawn to this path and we don't really understand it, and not everyone is like me, who will just, get up, leave my life, and come down to South America multiple times to just experience it and to learn about it and see what I can do with it. And I definitely do not claim to know everything about this path. I think that it is a lifelong journey where even the elders are always learning, but I think that it's important to share what I do know about this path, and I will continue to share what I learn because I think it's an important piece of humanity, an very important part of the awakening process happening on the planet. It's such a strong force that's helping humanity ascend, and so my goal is to just share what I learn along the way. I am by no means an expert. I am literally a baby on this path right now. It was 3 years ago that I really got introduced to these traditions, and more recently, within this last year, I have fully stepped my 2 feet onto this path myself. So I am not claiming to be an expert. I am not claiming to be a proper teacher on this path, but I just am coming from a place of wanting to share these traditions because I believe so wholeheartedly in keeping the sacred traditions and practices and purification processes that this path contains, keeping these things well alive for the future generations to carry, and for all of us to remember that these things are so important and they've helped so many people continue in life and helped humanity continue. So what I'm talking about today is my first vision quest that I recently did back in March of this year, 2023. And yeah, I told y'all that I would make a video about it, and I will try to be as concise as I can because it's a lot. And I did ask on my Instagram, which is at ancient.ascension, if y'all had any specific questions that you wanted me to answer or to share. So I did write those down, and I will try to answer what I can. So the vision quest, from what I understand, is it originated in North America. It's more a tradition of the Lakota people, of the Sioux people, and many other regions of the North, of the indigenous people of the North. And basically what the Vision Quest was when it began, it was always 4 nights and 4 days on the mountain, no food, no water, no speaking, no touching. You're basically taking an abstinence, I guess, from all of these things that make a human being happy, food, water, shelter, friends, community, our voice. You take all of those things away for 4 nights and 4 days. And originally people were doing these vision quests to help their community, to help their tribe, to receive a vision from Great Spirit of what do we need to do? What does the tribe need to know? What do we need to focus on? What is the vision for our community? Like, what's the vision for our time here on Earth? So that was originally what the Vision Quest was for. And originally, really, it was only the elders that were providing medicine in these communities. And obviously, we know that things are changing in the medicine path. And so when the Red Road, I'll try to explain this as best as I can. When the Red Road became more of a thing, which is the unification of all of the traditions in the Americas, North, Central, South America, because all of these native indigenous communities had their own practices. And then, it's part of the prophecy where everything is going to be integrated, all of the directions. And that goes even beyond just the Americas. I mean, everything on this planet right now, all of the healing practices, all of the teachings, all of the traditions that we know, we're in a deep time of integration of all of our wisdom, of all of our consciousness. And that is such a beautiful time to be alive in, for sure. I'm so grateful for that. But that's really what's happening across the Americas and, like I said, across the world, but specifically the Red Road is this blending and this this recognition between the Americas of how potent these practices are. So now down more in South America and Central America, I mean, I think in the North it's still pretty traditional of just 4 nights, 4 days. You do these vision quests to receive your visions of your life, of how to be a better human, how to live from the heart. The Red Road technically is the pathway of the heart. That's why it's the red path. And it's all about purification, about how we can live better as human beings. And now within this red path, we have this direct pathway to receive blessings from the elders who have been in this path, because the Red Road is all about generations. It's all about elder wisdom. It's all about oral tradition. It's about speaking these practices generation down to generation. It's not about having a textbook. Like, I'm learning how, how to keep a sacred fire, and there's nowhere online I can look up and be like, how do I keep a sacred fire? Like, I'm in the ceremonies. I'm learning from the one who's teaching me, and it's through experience. It's by taking the medicines, touching the fire, building that relationship. It's the same thing with everything in this path, how to run sweat lodges, how to pray with the tobacco, how to sing the right songs and really channel your music. I mean, it's all just experiential learning. And that is something that I love so much about this path, is it's so purely in the experience. There's no, you can study, like, what do the directions mean and what does all this mean? And like, there is this element of that, but really it's being so present when you're in ceremony, being so present with your elders, being so present with those who have been doing what you want to do and who are already doing it, and just absorbing and learning and asking questions and just like letting that information seep into us or into me. So I love this path. I think it's pure magic. I think it's so real at the same time. And the Vision Quest just completely blew my mind and completely changed me from the inside out. And I before I went on the Vision Quest, I was like, I had this feeling like, I feel like I'm about to meet myself for the first time in my life. And that is exactly what happened. So now the path that I'm walking and the place that I'm doing my Vision Quest is down in South America. It is a beautiful day up here in the Andes of Ecuador. Sun is shining, the eucalyptus trees are bending, and there's a lot of wind going on. And geez, what a beautiful world we live in. And I love South America so much. My heart is truly here. And my spirit truly lives here. And that's another point that I think is important to make. And I know that people may see me walking this path and be like, why do you think you can walk this path? You're just a white woman from North America. Like, why do you think you can do these things? The truth is, as I said, everything is becoming integrated. All the cultures are integrating together, and we are all indigenous people. I have a lot of Finnish blood in me, Swedish blood, Celtic blood, and yes, 4 generations ago, my people did come to the United States to seek a better life, and even then they weren't really having a great life because they were in the mines and they were poor. but at least they got away from what they wanted to. But in my blood, in my DNA, I have like the Sami roots within me, and I have the Lap roots within me, and these are shamanic practices as well. And being born in North America, there is this sense of the spirit of the land that took care of me is also very indigenous and native. And so I think that it's okay for us to explore other cultures, especially when we recognize that we are all indigenous people. We're all indigenous to this earth. We all have this different DNA, and now more common than ever, it's a whole blend of different regions of the earth. And I really encourage you to look into your ancestry, look into your DNA, look into, what were your people doing, like, indigenously? What were they doing? Were they using medicines? Were they using, like magic? Were they pagan? What were their beliefs and their traditions before the great flood of Christianity? And I'm not talking bad about Christianity, but there was a lot of intelligence and a lot of tradition and a lot of knowledge that was pretty much forced to be wiped out through a lot of cultures. So do your homework, know where you came from, know where you're indigenous, because when you know where your indigenous roots are, oof, does that give you power. Ooh, does that give you a deep connection to who you are. So I encourage you to do that. And yeah, I kept some notes so that I could say the proper things in this video. I can't say that I'm good at making YouTube videos. I never make them, but I'm really, really trying to make more. And I know y'all are really interested in this vision quest. So, so basically now, the Vision Quest down in South America, there are 4 Vision Quests that you need to complete, as well as a Sundance to receive the blessings. You basically receive blessings from the elders who also carry the blessings to carry medicines, or to keep a sacred fire, or to run a sweat lodge. Like, you have to go through this process of knowing yourself, of purifying your heart, of all of these traditions, and the Vision Quests are such a core piece of this path. And so down here in South America, I did my Vision Quest in Zhurakpamba, which is an Itzhachilatlan sacred fire. And down here they do, the first Vision Quest is 4 nights, 4 days. The second one is 7 nights, 7 days. The third one is 9 nights, 9 days. And the fourth one is 13 nights and 13 days. And after your 13, as long as you've done a Sundance as well, or you go into your Sundance, you have the blessing to carry the sacred sacraments like ayahuasca and San Pedro and the fungus and peyote, or, whatever it is that you want to do. You ask the elder if you can have the blessing, and you will receive it. So next year I'll be doing my 7-day. So this March I just did my 4 nights, 4-day Vision Quest, and woof, was it an experience for me. I was like, as soon as I got the question of like, hey, if you want to do a Vision Quest, you can do one in March. That was like back in November of 2022. And I was like, yes, like I've been wanting to do a Vision Quest. It just like, I wasn't really seeking it. And as soon as I got to Ecuador, it was like, hey, do you want to do this? And I was like, yes, I do want to do this, because I want to walk this path, and I want to actually feel like my 2 feet are on it. Because before my Vision Quest, I never felt like I was really on the path. Like, I lived with a Lakota community for 6 months in Colombia. They practice the Lakota traditions. And, I've been around, I've lived with other communities that are all about the Red Road, but I always just felt like an observer. And I knew that like I needed that key to unlock me to put my feet on this path and do my first Vision Quest. So I got the opportunity. I was honestly just more excited than nervous. And I felt like the couple weeks before my Vision Quest, I was actually helping run a retreat here at Gaia Sagrada in Ecuador, because I work here. I help run this retreat center, and that whole retreat, like, was very challenging to run a retreat center, be in service to humanity, be in service to those coming to drink the medicines maybe for the first time, and trying to just be in service. All the meanwhile, Great Spirit is like, I felt like it was like pressurizing me to like get my shit together basically before I get on the mountain. And I was thrown through this whole process of darkness, of shadows, of, like I did a sweat lodge during the retreat where we drank San Pedro and ayahuasca, and I was just like, just dead, like just done. Like I just I just felt so dark, so weak, and I really got so low to the point where I was like, I would be okay if like my life ended today. Like those feelings of just like super depressed, like super dark, and like obviously nothing came of that. But yeah, that's how low I went. But I got through that process, and I felt like Great Spirit was like preparing me to get on the mountain, because by the time I was through that dark process of just, seeing my shadow, seeing the shit that I'm still carrying, seeing all these stories that I'm still like tying myself to, and I knew this vision quest was like, once you're on it, you're on it, so like clear this stuff now before you sit on the mountain. And by the time that process was over, like, and the retreat ended, I was like, get me on the mountain. Like, I don't want to be around anyone for 4 nights and 4 days. Like, this sounds like a vacation now at this point, like I'm ready to just meet myself. So yeah, before the vision quest, you have to make 365 prayers with tobacco and fabric. And the first vision quest is the color red, and it's all about humility. The first vision quest, your first year on the path, is the work of being humble, of putting yourself on your knees in front of Great Spirit, of putting yourself on your knees in front of the spirits of all of the elements of this entire world. And that's so much what the red path is recognizing everything as sacred, and put yourself on your knees, bow your head to life, to your elders, to your teachers, to the animals, to the insects, to the flowers. Like, everything is so intelligent, and everything is a spirit, everything contains a spirit. And so the first path, or the first year of being on the red path in your first vision quest, is all about being humble, humility, like, bring yourself down to the earth and start from level 0. Don't start from a point of being like, oh yeah, if I was like, oh, I've lived with these kind of communities before, like I know, what this path's about. No, I know nothing about this path. I'm learning about this path, and that's why I want to share as I go along, because I feel like there's not a whole lot of people sharing about this path. So it's all about humility. You make 365 prayers with little pieces of tobacco, and you wrap them around a string, and you do that before you get on the mountain. So before the vision quest even begins, it is asking you to slow down. I always had a candle and spoke my prayers into every little prayer that I made, spoke it, believed in it, took a breath into it, and wrapped it and did the next one. And 365 prayers is quite a bit of prayers, and I love that preparation for the vision quest, because it really helps you hone in on like, what am I praying for myself, my life? What am I praying for humanity? What am I praying for all my loved ones in my life? Like, what are all these, like, what are my prayers that I'm carrying with me as I walk this path? Such a beautiful practice. So glad that that's a part of it. So you make all those prayers, you get really centered and focused on why you're doing this. You get your 7 sticks. They're like these heart height sticks that you will be planted in on the vision quest. And you get your sticks, you get your colors for the sticks, you put prayers around those sticks for all the directions and the protection while you're on the mountain. And yeah, you fucking head up to the mountain after that. You're ready. So yeah, the retreat ended, had my prayers, made my way up to Zhurakpamba, which was about 2 hours from where I am in Ecuador, so it wasn't a long travel, and got to the sacred mountain. And this Itzhachilatlan sacred fire has been burning for 13 years straight on this mountain, and it is such an insanely beautiful place there that has been in the family for generations. And Taitaleho was the one there who has the blessings. He's an elder, and he was the one that was running the vision quest with 2 helpers. So yeah, when it all began, the vision quest starts with a sweat lodge. And so basically you're free to drink water, you're free to eat what you need to before you get into the sweat lodge. And once you get into the sweat lodge, like, you're done pretty much. So before I got into the sweat lodge, I drank 2 cups of San Pedro and took these 2 little pellets of San Pedro. They're like dry San Pedro. And that's basically the only medicine you get while you're on the vision quest. And now these vision quests, how they're mostly being done in South America, yeah, like I said before, is the pathway to carry the medicines. So they incorporate the medicines in with your vision quest now. Like, they give you San Pedro so you can go up on the mountain and meet yourself deeper. On your 7th-day, you'll get a huge liter of San Pedro and a bottle of water on your 4th day, so that your last 3 days you get more medicine, you drink all the medicine, you go deep, deep, deep into yourself, into the world, into your life, into your programming, and you can really know yourself. So yeah, drink San Pedro, which love the medicine. Thank you, Great Spirit, for that beautiful mescaline energy and that medicine, and went into the sweat lodge. And yeah, I don't want to go into too much detail because it's just so much, and this video will be really long if I do that. But basically, yeah, we all went in the sweat lodge, and in the second round of the sweat lodge, he gave us our last 2 cups of water. We prayed to the water, our purpose of the vision quest, thanking the water, because after those 2 cups of water, no more water for 4 nights, 4 days, no more touching. You can't touch any living thing, like any human being or animal, and you can't speak at all, which I'll get into not speaking. And that was the beginning. And yeah, the sweat lodge was beautiful. We go out of the sweat lodge, we change our clothes, we grab our stuff, and we go out onto the mountain to be planted. And it was such a beautiful process of being planted. My partner was there. The 2 helpers that were living in Zhurakpamba were there, and also a shaman that I admire, who I see as a friend, who works here at this center too, and I can help him in his ceremonies. He was there as well and helped plant me. And it was just like so much energy. Obviously, I was very much on San Pedro, and yeah, they hammer all the sticks around you. You're sitting under one tree, and it's really cool because on that land, all of the trees are like the mimosa acacia trees, the trees that contain the most DMT, and they're just everywhere. So we're all sitting underneath like DMT trees. I'm just like, wow, this is so cool. Like, this is the most sacred place I've been into in a while. And yeah, you stay under your tree for the 4 nights and the 4 days. And I probably had like 10 feet by 10 feet of an area to be around. And they planted me, they smoked their tobacco, and they walked away, and they gave me my sacred tobacco, which is a tobacco that you don't smoke until you're in the sweat lodge after your vision quest. So the vision quest starts with the sweat lodge. They go up, take you on the mountain. You stay there for 4 nights, 4 days, and then they come retrieve you on your 4th day, and you go into a sweat lodge. And that's when you pray with your sacred tobacco and you speak your first words. So what can I even say about the vision quest, you guys? Like, first of all, do it. Whether or not you want to walk this path to receive the blessings, to carry the medicines or not, doing at least one vision quest in your life for 4 nights and 4 days will change your life. Guaranteed. I mean, the first night was amazing because I was on San Pedro and I loved that medicine, and I was like, wow, like I just couldn't really believe what was going on, you know, and I knew that I was left there, and basically I had a sheepskin that I could sleep on, you know, just like the size, I don't know, it wasn't that big, the size of a sheep, and a blanket, a piece of plastic for the rain, and whatever clothes I was wearing. And I brought this little like dolphin bone that I found in the ocean because it's really sacred to me and it has crazy energy and it looks wild. I should have brought it because it's really cool. And that's pretty much all I had were just the necessities. And so, yeah, the first night was a breeze. You know, I just drank water in the sweat lodge, and even though I just sweat out all the water, I was like, okay, like this is good, you know, like this, like the mountain is just absolutely beautiful. And the first night was pretty peaceful. It was pretty nice, you know, I could hear animals around me. There's wild horses on that land. There's wild bulls, there's birds, like, and I was just like, God, this is like, I just felt like I need this. I need this so bad right now, because since I've been in Ecuador, I've just been in service, working at this retreat center, which I love so much, totally living my purpose right now. But I needed like a complete break from humanity, from people being needy and in their healing process, and just a break from just needing to show up to others and just fully show up to myself. So that was like I felt so good about the vision quest. And yeah, first night into the first day was pretty nice. Like, it wasn't really difficult. I realized though very quickly how slow time can go. Like, my God, days felt like 36 hours or something. Like, when the sun would come up, and I swear to God, it would be like at 3 p.m. I would look at the sun, and then I would like close my eyes for a second, and it'd be like back at noon. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is insane. So time slowed down so much. It's like more than I've ever seen it slow down in my life before. And that really made me realize, like, oh my God, like, I didn't realize how long days could really be. Like, I had no idea how much I was just like ripping through my life, you know, without paying attention to like really how potent and how spread out each moment can be. And the Vision Quest taught me that so hardcore. Like, whoa, can time be like this just super wide, long experience? I learned that real quickly because, you know, I'm just like, okay, it's the first day, then the sun's going to set, then it's going to be the second day, you know, and I'm just like, let's do this. And Great Spirit was like, no, honey, like, you're going to sit here and feel the length that time really has. And I was like, whoa, okay. So that was a beautiful lesson very early on in the Vision Quest. I'm going to look into what I wrote because it's really hard to think about everything that I really experienced. And yeah, sorry, it's hard to keep my thoughts together. Because it was just insane, you know, it was like so otherworldly. Another big lesson that I had was, oh my God, just like how alive everything is. Anytime I felt alone, I just looked into the earth and I saw all these ants and these bugs and these things, and I was just like, it's a whole world down here. And I felt like they were my friends, and I felt like I could just really connect to them, and they were like with me during this whole experience, and that was really beautiful. The mosquitoes were very gnarly. It was very rainy the time of the year I went, which was actually beautiful, but the mosquitoes were brutal. They were brutal. They were this constant reminder that I was alive, basically, that they wanted my live blood. And I was just like, you know what? It feels good to be alive, you know? It feels good to be wanted by a mosquito, I guess, like, is the point I got to. And, yeah, in the rain was absolutely glorious. Like, it rained a little bit every day. And since I had that plastic, most of the time it was okay. And, like, it would start raining, like, after sunset into the night, and I would just be laying there, and obviously you get more and more dry, and it was just like these kisses from Father Cosmos and Great Spirit, and it was just like I was being cleansed, like my skin was being cleansed, and, you know, I would open my mouth, but like one drop would come in, but even that one drop, I was like, ooh, like, that's nice, because like my mouth was getting so dry. Really, I'll just say that the hardest part for me was the third night into the third day, because and I knew it was going to be, because the third round in a sweat lodge, the third tobacco in a ceremony, the third day in a Vision Quest is the day of power. It's the round of power. It's the moment where you take self-responsibility for all of your actions in your life, and you take your power back, and you stand in your power. And of course, I knew, like, the third night and the third day, I was like, ooh, this is going to be like the most powerful, but the most challenging for sure, you know? So that night, it rained way harder than I was expecting, and it rained like before sunset, and I just really wasn't expecting it to rain so much, and I didn't have my plastic set up right, and it just downpoured, and all this water was pooling at the bottom of my plastic because I didn't really have it set up right. And so I got out in the rain, I fixed my plastic because I was like, oh my God, my blanket is going to get soaked. And like, this is just the beginning of the third night. Like, you know, I have no food, no water, no speaking, no touching. This is all going on in my head. And I'm just like, man, I got to fix this because that's not going to be fun. And by the time I got out, fixed my plastic and my blanket, my sheepskin was soaking wet, my clothes were soaking wet, my blanket was soaking wet, everything was just like drenched. And I was like, oh man. And then the rain just like kind of went away, and it was just like drizzling, and I was like, this is gonna be rough. Like, I started to get freezing, you know, my body was like shaking, and I knew that I had to like take my clothes off because if my clothes were wet, there's no way I'm going to stay warm and dry, you know, throughout the night. And my blanket was pretty much soaked except for like one corner that was just damp. And so, yeah, I had to take all my clothes off, hang them in the tree, and I put my boots on because I knew that if my feet were warm and dry, like, everything would be okay. And that was a very, very challenging night. I didn't sleep at all. The ground was really starting to hurt my pelvis and my spine by that point. And I was just rolling back and forth, just like shivering, and just like the rain continued, and it was really, really challenging for me. But I knew there was like somewhere in me that was like, when the sun comes up, like when you get through this third night, you got it. You got the fourth night, you got the fourth day, you've got the third day. Like, don't worry. Like, this is the molding moment, you know? So I kind of knew that. Barely got any sleep, but as I saw the sun start to rise on the third day, I sat up right away because I was like, you know, thank God, like, the sun is up. I freaking made it through the night, you know? Like, that's incredible. And as the sun started to rise, it was so foggy. It was like, you know, I was like in a cloud. Everything was so foggy, and the sun was just like this beautiful ray of hope and light. Like, it really was so intense in that way. Like, it was dramatic for me, and I think I even started like tearing up in my eyes, but I didn't have water in my body, so nothing came out. But it was so beautiful. And then as the sun put its light onto all the prayers that I was wrapped around, I realized that all these silkworms like went and put silk all over every single one of my prayers. Like, they were just like wrapped in silk, covered in silk. Like, not one prayer, not one stick was untouched. Some of the silk was like connecting to the tree, and you know, the silk had like little droplets of water on it, and as the sun was coming up and hitting the silk with the water on it, I was just like, this isn't, like, it was so otherworldly and so beautiful. And it was like the blessing of the silkworms and the blessing of the sunlight and this, you know, this ball of light that we all get to live beneath, and that gives us hope, that gives us these new beginnings. And it was such a beautiful moment, such a powerful moment. And by the third day, like, I knew I got through that night, but I was definitely feeling the thirst. I was feeling the thirst more than anything. I've done 3-day fasts before without food, so the food wasn't really, I don't think my stomach growled until like the 4th day, and then they harvested me, but it was the thirst. I've never gone 4 nights, 4 days without water, and that 3rd day I was like, just really trying not to think about how thirsty I was, because that was another thing the Vision Quest showed me, was like the power of our mind. And like, if I'm thinking about how thirsty I am, I'm thinking about how hungry I am, like, my whole reality was just like, get off the mountain. Like, this is too hard. What are you doing? This is, you know, this is ridiculous. Like, what is this even, you know? But then if I would change my mind to like looking at a horse that's walking by, you know, eating the grass or whatever they eat, and then immediately I just like, the whole world opened up, and it was like, God, this is the most beautiful experience I've ever experienced actually in my life. And I just like, the polarity between my thoughts was so apparent on that Vision Quest. Like, I was like, wow, okay, like, get your head straight, you know, like, this is such a mental game more than anything, because all you have to do is sit beneath your tree, you know. So the 3rd day came, I was feeling it. I could barely move, really. Like, my body, you know, like, I thought like, okay, I'm gonna like practice yoga, you know, I'll do some cow cats and I'll do some sun salutations. I'll keep my body feeling good because, like, what else am I going to do? And, like, that is, like, not even an option. Like, I maybe did, like, one cow cat, you know, in yoga, and I would just, like, collapse on the floor. Like, it was just, the energy was, like, very low. So it was basically just like a quest of just, it's sitting there with yourself, with nature, with the elements, and seeing the beauty and the intelligence that's around us all the time, and how alive and how strong these forces are, like stronger than us for sure. And the third day came, it was a struggle. I was like, oh my God, like, and you know, another like elongated day. But I mean, I was enjoying this whole thing, don't get me wrong, but it was very, very challenging. It's not easy to do these vision quests, that's for sure. But on the third day, it was like the afternoon, and I saw straight across from where I was sitting was this mountain range, and just this blackness behind this mountain started to appear, like pure black, like it was obviously a storm cloud. And I was like, oh my God, like that's dark, like that's so dark, it's beautiful, you know? And I just watched it, and then these white, you know, like cumulonimbus clouds started to merge over it. And I mean, I could, you know, when you can like see an entire thunderstorm like in its entirety, because you're like in such a distance from it that you can see the bottom of it, the top of it, you can see the whole thing. That's what I started to see from this baby black cloud. These giant white clouds started like puffing and growing like so high up into the sky. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then it started lightning, like, and the only lightning was just like a direct line directly in front of me, just like striking the earth. I think it did it like 3 or 4 times. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. But I felt fine because it was so far away. And the storm just kept building and building. And I love thunderstorms. I love thunderstorms. Where I grew up, there was thunderstorms all the time. And, yeah, they're incredible. I love them so much. And so when I saw this thunderstorm, I was like, ooh, this is so much a part of my medicine. I love thunderstorms. And as the storm grew and it like started to dissipate, this like pure face emerged in the clouds. And like, it was this giant spirit face that just like had these eyes and this nose and like the ears, and it just like was coming at me. And I saw it and I was like, wow, like that's a thunder spirit right there, like a total thunder spirit. And I heard in my mind the thunder spirit, like it was coming towards me, and it said, this is how powerful you are. And I was like, really? Like, and then the spirit face turned into a thunderbird, and then it just dissipated like as a cloud. And I was like, whoa, talk about a day of power, you know? And I felt that. I was like, that is how powerful we are, you know? Like our creation abilities, like what we're capable of in this life is as powerful as a freaking thunderstorm, you know, that just emerges out of nothing and just can like, you know, pinpoint exactly what it wants. And that was such a beautiful, beautiful lesson. On the fourth day, the fourth night, I actually woke up feeling extremely terrified because I heard this bull like running around, and it was like huffing and puffing and like, you know, like galloping. And I like woke up, I sat up by my tree, and I was just like, oh my God, like, I hope this homie knows that I'm here. Like, I hope he's not going to like ram into this tree. And then what I realized was he was just like running in circles around my tree and around my prayers. And I felt like he knew it was my fourth night, and he was like celebrating with me. Like, it sounds crazy, but I was just like, dude, this bull knows that I'm about to be harvested tomorrow afternoon. And I was just like, that is so awesome. It was such a good celebration. My battery may die any moment in this video. I just have a Sony ZV-1 and it doesn't really last that long. So that's a little bit about the Vision Quest. I want to answer a few of these questions that y'all asked me. I mean, I'm writing about my Vision Quest because there's so much that I learned from it that it's hard to speak about it, but I wanted to give y'all somewhat of an idea. One question was, what gave you the most strength? honestly, what gave me the most strength was all the support that I have in my life from all of the people that don't really understand this path, from my mom, from my siblings, from my partner, from my friends. Like, everyone is just like, do it, do it, do it. Like, we may not understand, but like, we support you fully in this path, and we know that you're following your spirit and your purpose. And that's what gave me the most strength, to be honest, was the support that I had from the people around me. Like, that was it. That's all I needed, was support, and for people to not be like, oh my God, like, you're crazy. Like, why are you doing this? Like, I couldn't imagine if my mom was like, I don't support you doing this. Like, that's crazy. Like, get a real job, you know, like, that would be horrible. But she supports me, and everyone in my life supports me. So thank you so much to all of you out there who do support me on this path. Like, you have no idea how much like strength that really does give me to do these things and live this way and learn in ceremony and drink these medicines and work in this realm. Like, you have no idea how much the support means to me. What was my favorite part about the Vision Quest? Literally everything. My favorite part was actually in the sweat lodge after the Vision Quest, when I could get the tobacco and I spoke for the first time. My God, I didn't know how much I would miss my voice. Like, for real, like, the prayer that I got to say, my experience, I got to pray. I like felt this like throat chakra just be like, poosh, just like open again. And I was like, whoa, I never stopped talking for 4 nights and 4 days. So that was so awesome when I could talk again. And then once the prayers were done in the sweat lodge, they were like, does anyone want to sing? And I was like, yes, me. Like, every time I was like, let's go, I want to sing. Like, my voice was just like, yes, 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 like, I'm back, baby, you know. Like, that was one of my favorite parts of the Vision Quest, for sure, was speaking again. What did I find the most challenging? Not speaking was extremely challenging. The no water was extremely challenging. And just the time was just wild. And yeah, I meditated a lot. You know, I had a lot of moments where I really just like culminated all the bullshit in my life. And, you know, I was like, what am I like just trying to get away from? Like, if I'm so annoyed that time is going so long, like, what's the issue, you know? And I would lay there a couple times on the Vision Quest. Like, it was this culmination of energy of just like this in my life that is not serving me. And I was just like, like, and just let it go. I let the mountain take it. I was just like, I'm done, dude. Like, I'm moving forward without this stuff, without this baggage, without this weight. Like, the Vision Quest is a straight key that unlocks you into knowing yourself, into knowing the magic that's always around us, into knowing the spirits of the elements, into knowing the wisdom of the 4 directions. Like, this is why the Vision Quest and these traditions are so important to me, are because they work. And they're powerful, and they're magic, and they help humanity be the best that we can be. And they're so traditional, they're ancient, like these practices. And I'm like, dude, it is like part of my life's work to bring awareness to these things, because without it, like, I don't want these things to die. I want these things to stay well alive, you know, which is why I'm sharing this here. I'm sorry if this video is not that great. I'm just like, I see the battery going lower and lower. How did you see yourself in the world before and after sense? Good question. I see myself very differently now. I mean, since I work at a plant medicine retreat center, there is a tangible, enormous difference in the way that I show up to ceremonies now, the way I show up to people needing help on the medicine, the way I show up to my work. Like, there is this backbone in me that's stronger than ever, and this trust within me that knows that what I'm saying in the sacred tobacco prayers is right. The music that I sing in ceremonies is right. Like, the things that I'm saying to people and helping them in their process is appropriate and right. Like, I'm not questioning myself. I see the world, well, specifically I see the red path as something way more than I ever thought it could ever be in my mind. Like, I remember leaving Zhurakpamba after my Vision Quest, and I was like, this world, this path is like pure magic. This life is pure magic. Like, the spirits around us, like the intensity that life can have, like the fusion of just like all these experiences we get, like, it's insane. Like, I see the world so differently. I see everything as sacred. I see everything as divine. I see every person as a reflection of me. And I see every single piece of my work as so important on this path. And I'm so grateful that I get to work around ceremony. I get to learn from elders. I get to learn from shamans as I'm going each year between my Vision Quests. Like, it couldn't be more perfect. And, you know, that was another thing I saw myself. I was like, dude, it is ridiculous how provided for I am. Like anything I say I want, I get, and the universe provides it in the most structured, proper way that I couldn't even imagine doing myself. And that's true for you too. You know, like anything you say that you want, you will get. You have to believe it. You have to know it. You have to show up to spirit in the way that you mean it, you know, and it will give you everything you want. You can't doubt it. You can't be like, oh, well, I want this, but like, I can't because, you know, I work this job and like my life sucks. It's like, no, then quit your job. Do something that shows spirit that you're serious about it, you know? Like, you have to prove yourself. I can't tell you how many times that I've let go of everything that I've built in my life, went off on a whim to trust in my heart and to trust in spirit, and it's never, ever, ever steered me wrong. And yeah, how I see myself in the world after the Vision Quest: more trust, more strength, more assurance. Like I said before, I felt like I was always observing the red path. Ooh, like now I feel 100% my 2 feet are on this path and they're walking it forward, which is such an incredible, incredible feeling. And the support that I get from all the people here in Ecuador, like the shamans that are native to here, and, you know, the Taita who is running the Vision Quest, like they don't care that I'm white. Like they see my heart. They see like what my mission is. They see that I want to carry the medicines appropriately. They see that I respect tradition and I would never hold a ceremony without having the blessings. Like they see that it doesn't like, and that was one of the first things that the Taita said in the sweat lodge when we were done. He was like, we are all family. He's like, we're all family. We're all indigenous. Like you are my family. I am your family. And I was just like, this is the kind of path that I'm trying to walk in my life, you know, like I'm not trying to like prove myself to anyone. All I want to do is respect traditions, walk the path, because I know that there's medicine and there's magic and there's alchemy in this path, more alchemy than I've ever seen before in my life, with the sacred fire and the design of the ceremonies and the healing that I get to witness happen every single week here pretty much. Like, my hat's off to this path. Like there are no words, you know? So yeah, I see myself in this world and this path way different after the Vision Quest. So much strength was given to me, so much power, so much understanding, so much clarity. It's beyond words. Yeah, I think my camera is going to die pretty soon. Let me see if there's another question that I can answer. I'm very much so looking forward to my next Vision Quest. I will try to make another video about this. I know this one's going pretty long now because it's a lot, but if there's any other specific questions you want to know, I'm going to try and share more of what I learn about this red path as I go along, as I'm working at, you know, around these shamans. And, you know, after the Vision Quest, I got offered to help in the ceremony realm as a part of the shamans team. So now, yeah, on the medicines, I'm praying, I'm drumming, I'm singing, and I'm just like tapping into all these lifetimes that I've lived before. And I hope so much that you can have this same type of experience in life too, with whatever it is you want to do. Not everyone wants to carry medicine, and I definitely don't really recommend it because it's a gnarly path. It's heavy sometimes, you know, but all I'm saying is like, yeah, if you're interested in doing a Vision Quest, 100% go fucking do it, because it's going to show you that you're so strong. You're going to learn so much about yourself. You're going to see things that you haven't seen before in this world, and you're going to carry that experience with you out into the world forever, and you will have so much strength. And if you have any questions on where you can do it, how you can do it, please reach out to me. I'm happy to answer. And Shanti, stop. And yeah, there's dogs here. So anyway, I'm so grateful that y'all were interested in this. I hope that this helped you somewhat. And yeah, I'll continue to talk more about Shanti, what I learned and what I'm always learning. So thank you so much. I love you guys so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Ciao.